Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to Food Theory. Yes, the knockoff is better. This is something that I relate to because growing up I had a lot of foods that were knockoffs instead of just the real versions because they were so much cheaper. And I always loved them. And something else I noticed, this is the most British thing you're going to ever hear me say. Tinned baked beans that are off-brand or knockoff brands. Because Heinz are like the bougie ones or whatever. Bougie. The knockoff ones taste nicer, and it's probably because all the preservatives are added to it to make it taste as good as possible because it's fake, and the Heinz ones are probably a lot more natural, but they don't taste as nice. And yeah, that is what I can relate to be fair. And it's also, this is a channel that I've never reacted to either, so it's the first time reacting to it. But I saw this knockoff sort of thing and how it's better, and I was like, you know what, I do see that. So I guess we're going to see why that is. Again, it's probably to do with the ingredients are just a lot more artificial to make them taste nicer, but they're not anywhere near as good for you. Although if it's a packet of crisps, they're bad for you anyway and stuff like that. But we're going to check this out. Links are also in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions. And maybe we'll just start doing some more reactions to this channel depending on if I find this interesting. But yeah, let's jump into it.
For decades, the food industry has been misleading us, and as a result, the food that we eat has actually been eating into our pocketbooks. In all seriousness, you could save up to 30% the next time you go to the grocery store, and all it takes is one simple change. By the end of today's episode, you'll be asking yourself, have we just all been drinking the Kool-Aid, 40 count for $6.99, when we really should be drinking the Flavor-Aid, 40 count for $4.99?
I think I'll proper as intro.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the YouTube series that can now come in its own variety pack. You know, theorists, I've got a confession. Something's been bothering me since my last trip to the store. In actuality, it's something that's bothered me for a while, but I'm only just getting around now to researching it and doing an episode about it since, as a YouTuber, my life is constantly just fodder for new content. You see, it all started with vitamins. The other day, I was over at Target and spent way too long comparing the labels for various multivitamins. And what I was finding was that those labels had practically the exact same list of ingredients in the exact same order. Maybe sometimes there was a very little difference in percent daily value, but for the product that I was looking for, nope, totally the same on every level. So why then was one bottle $20 and the other just $10? What was causing one jar to be nearly double the cost when the stuff inside was, at least according to the ingredients list, identical? Well, the big difference was branding. One was a name brand and the other a generic. And yet, is that enough to cause that
That can't be the difference. Surely there's some actual differences between the vitamins. If there's not, that is insane.
$10 spread in price? I mean, a bit cheaper, sure, I kinda get that, but what is so wrong with those things that make them a whole $10 cheaper? In the end, I couldn't make a decision and left without the multivitamins, but with a food theory topic. What is the difference with generic store brand products? Sure, I might be saving $10 today, but should I actually be worried about sprouting a third leg out of my face because I'm sucking down some tainted vitamin C? How can I save money without sacrificing quality when I'm buying store brand food? And just how deep does this rabbit hole go? Well, that, loyal theorists, is what I aim to answer today. When you pay full price for a brand name product, are you actually getting sold a lemon? The vastly more expensive brand name lemon. So who are our competitors? In corner number one, brand name products. A brand name product might also be called a national brand because they're often owned, produced, and distributed across the US under that name. These are your favorite, very recognizable products. Your Campbell's soups, your Hershey's chocolate, your Lay's potato chips, and your Oreo cookies. They're the brands that you know and love and trust. They're as American as your uncle's 4th of July picnic, and you'll eat them even if you don't absolutely love them because they're sold just about everywhere. And because shoving more chips into your mouth is a lot easier than talking to your family. Which brings us over to contestant number 2, generics, also known as store brand, off-brand, or no-name products, which, by the way, is not how the stores want you to see them. Retailers prefer the term private label. Good on them dressing for the job that they want and not the one that they have. Now, back in the day, these things were pretty darn easy to spot. Getting their own aisle in the supermarket, or packaged with stark white and yellow boxes and cans that looked like they fell out of a scientific testing facility. Nowadays, though, grocery stores have gotten so good at marketing their homegrown products, you might not even realize that they're owned and operated by the store itself. Oh sure, for every Pringles, there's a Prongles. For every I can't believe it's not butter, there's a butter it's not, or a wow, I totally thought it was butter, or a unbelievable, this is not butter.
What the fuck?
There's so many of these. But not all of them are so hilariously bad. For example, if you're at Target strolling through the syrup section planning an epic pancake breakfast, you might come across Pearl Milling Company Original Syrup, Log Cabin Original Syrup, Market Pantry Original Syrup, Archer Farm Pure Maple Syrup, and Simply Balanced Organic Pure Maple Syrup. The first two, Pearl Milling and Log Cabin, are national brands distributed by Target. The latter three, Market Pantry, Archer Farms, and Simply Balanced, are all private label Target-owned brands, with all the profits coming back to them in every single way. Unless you're actively looking for it, you wouldn't really know about this. Let's just say that they've come a long way from great value Frosted Flakes. There.
Yeah, actually, that's one thing. I feel like the one knockoff that weren't as good were the cereals. Because I was definitely a knockoff cereal person. That's what I used to always have. Actually, that's not true. Weetabix knockoff I prefer. Cocoa Pops, maybe not, because Cocoa Pops is just good. And like Frosted Flakes and stuff. I mean, it's just sugar and cereal, but again, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But from what I remember, I think I just used to get always the normal, like Frosted Flakes or whatever. The Frosties.
They're acceptable. But okay, outside of the hilariously bad packaging that some of these things get, is there actually a quality difference with generic products? Because let's face it, that's the thing that really matters here. And the numbers back this up. In various consumer surveys, more than 60% of respondents say that they're likely or very likely to choose brand-named products. The biggest reason for that is trust in quality, with 78% of responses saying that brand-name products are sometimes or always better in quality than generic products. So that's what people believe, but is there actually a difference? Or is this all built on hype and perception? Well, let's start with taste. A 2014 study by the American Association of Wine Economists found that when comparing 3 major beer brands in a blind taste test, those surveyed couldn't tell the difference. Sometimes even when the subject claimed that one of the beers tested was their go-to beer of choice. But how would a blind taste test play out when facing off between your grocery store's in-house goods versus a popular name brand? Well, a study published by University of Chicago showed that in a blind taste test, people surveyed predicted that they would choose a name brand product even if they thought highly of the grocery store's brands. In a surprising twist, an overwhelming majority chose the grocery store brand, completely upending people's expected reactions. Additionally, a 2009 issue of Consumer Reports found that when they compared brand names with generic alternatives in 29 food categories, in 23 cases, they were either deemed equal or the generic option won. The study concluded that when you're buying name brand products, you're only paying for the cost of the research, development, and marketing that literally helped to make it a household name in the first place. But while us plebs might not be able to tell an Oreo from a Hydrox from a cream between, what about actual cooks with real palates? Surely they should be able to tell a difference, right? Well, they can, and they agree. Chefs actually agree and opt into generics, or at least that's what their buying habits suggest. According to a 2014 study reported on by NPR, chefs were more likely to buy generic groceries than the general public. This was especially true in cases where chefs bought raw ingredients for baking, like
What?
powdered sugar, brown sugar, granulated sugar, baking soda, and baking mix.
Really? If chefs are doing that, why is not everyone else then? Like, chefs are like the masters at taste and stuff, so...
However, there were product categories where chefs tended to choose name brand products more often, specifically when it comes to dairy products, including name-branded yogurts and ice cream. This is pretty darn good news for me, because now I feel completely justified shelling out the big bucks for Ben & Jerry's every time I go to the store.
What an ice cream, man. So good.
So in general, it seems that if you're going to buy staple food products, sugars, baking sodas, pastas, breads, things like that, generic brands are going to be similar in quality, but cheaper. And not just similar, but sometimes exactly the same. When it comes to those raw ingredients like flour, sugar, cornstarch, and pepper, those are regulated, which means that even at the cheapest levels, the quality is ensured to be there.
Yeah, that does make sense, to be fair. The essential sorts of foods.
But it doesn't stop there. Stores will often hire out the same manufacturers that make the brand name products so they can make their own version of that product to sell for cheaper.
What the... I mean, if that is... I mean, it is the case. That's what he's saying. That is insane.
Despite what benefits a name brand might advertise, they're likely to deliver similar results to the generic options. So why don't we see more people opting into generics? Well, when it comes to our experience of food, turns out that your other senses play disproportionate roles in the experience. Back in 1975, Pepsi did this huge marketing campaign called the Pepsi Challenge, where they were trying to show the world that Pepsi was the preferred flavor of soda over Coke. As you might imagine, Pepsi won. Go figure. They paid for the whole thing. Of course they won.
Yeah.
They're also a lot of ways that you can skew a blind taste test in this sort of situation that are probably best reviewed on another episode. But anyway, what I'm more interested in is that in 2004, a group of researchers at Baylor College of Medicine wanted to redo that same taste test, but this time while studying branding's impact on the brain. They found that when subjects were given information on what they were drinking before they tasted it, Coke activated areas of the brain associated with memory and emotion.
Yeah, Coke. I feel like Coke is just more like ingrained into like childhood and stuff. Again, Pepsi's one of those drinks that I never really realized how big it actually is. Like, it's massive. I've never really liked it. Don't get me wrong. I drink it and I wouldn't really get that much of a difference. But I don't drink either. Really. I don't drink fizzy drinks often at all. But Pepsi just doesn't hit the same sort of spot. Like he's saying here, you don't have those sorts of memories of Pepsi. But I guess some people do. Some people, Pepsi, maybe that is how it is for them. Because it's so much bigger than I thought. Which, again, I didn't realize before.
Whereas knowing that it was Pepsi had no effect on the subject's brain. For some reason, those who drink Coke are just loyal to the memory and feeling of it, even if their blind taste buds beg to differ. So when you're shopping in a store, the look, the feel, and the memory of a specific brand or product is actually trumping your own experience of taste. You know the saying, there's no accounting for taste? Well, we can absolutely account for taste. It's all the other senses that become inconsistent. That said, even walking into the grocery store knowing that your brain is actually lying to you about your perception of your favorite brands might start to impact whether or not you might let your taste buds take the wheel once in a while. And if you choose to trust your actual taste, your wallet will likely thank you later. Ramsey Solutions, an online debt management company, estimated this year that buying generic products will cost you anywhere from 28 to 65% less on any given meal.
Okay. I mean, for me, I don't really shop at big stores, so it's not really as easy. But you look at that, it is... Is their own brand like meats and stuff? Because I don't think there is. You get them like from where I go anyway to the supermarkets. You'll just get one sort of version of chicken breast. You have like sliced chicken breast or like the whole breast. It's not sliced up or anything, but it's all just from the shop. There's no brand options for that. So, I mean, there's no options for those kinds of things. But for pasta, obviously, for like the essential sort of things, there will be. Like milks, I'm not fussed. Like for soya milk or almond milk, I don't really care. I'll just get whatever. But for like cheeses, again, I'm not fussed, to be fair. But yeah, I'm not really fussed by either. But like when it comes to crisps, I don't know, you just get Pringles or whatever because they're just, again, from the shops that I go to, it's the smaller shops. So there's only that really one option. But you go to the bigger stores, you can get the off-brand kind of ones, but I don't know. It's just never really comes across to do like my mind to do that. Baked beans, again, I did used to get the off-brand ones because I used to think they were nicer, but then I just thought to myself, you know what, it's probably not as good for me to have these ones, even though it tastes better, because it'd be like 40p for a tin of baked beans. And you think for a second, there's a lot of beans in here. How can they be this cheap? And obviously they're mass-produced and stuff, but it's got to be some mad stuff put into it.
And over time would likely save you over $1,000 a year on dinner alone, making the exact same recipes that you're already making using the exact same ingredients, just with a different name and image on the cover. Historically, generics were cheaper to produce so they could sell at a lower price, so it is still important to check ingredient lists to look for any differences that could affect the quality, health benefits, or taste. But all of this begs a question: how can grocery stores get away with copying the look and flavor of your favorite foods and stock them on the shelves side by side? Well, you know what that means. It's time to dip into one of our favorite subjects on this channel: licensing and patent law. Innovations in food are technically eligible to be patented, though that can be easier said than done due to the nature of the recipes themselves. According to the United States Patent and Trademark Office, patents may be given out to any new and useful innovation. Considering the history of food preparation basically spans the entirety of human existence, having anything that's truly original in the culinary arts is gonna be difficult to define and prove. Most new recipes evolve from existing ones. For example, Justin's nut butter peanut butter cup is just a Reese's dressed up in fancier pans. There is nothing truly original there. No, in an unexpected twist, patents don't seem to be the best way to protect yourself from generics eating your lunch, but instead you consider developing trade secret protection. By US Patent and Trademark Office definition, quote, trade secrets consist of information and can include a formula, pattern, compilation, program, device, method, technique, or process. This means something like how the ingredients are mixed together, shaken, not stirred, or some kind of secret formulation only known to the company. company. Under this category, think Dr. Pepper, KFC fried chicken, Bush's baked beans, the internet's fictional favorite Krabby Patties, all protected by trade secrets and each company marketing their recipe as a secret in their advertising. My biggest question about this then was, how could you get away with actually having secret ingredients in food, since don't you have to list the ingredients on labels, like for allergy reasons, that kind of thing? Well, yes, but the FDA in the US is very specific that those labels should not infringe on trade secrets.
Wow.
Meaning that companies can indeed leave off specific spices, flavorings, and the like if those are part of their proprietary methods. And somehow, in a day and age when you can practically track...
I never really thought about that, because they don't, like, there are like a lot of secret ingredients and all this sort of stuff, but surely that some of those ingredients people are somewhat allergic to or sensitive to, no?
Every pair of shoes your old high school flame's been wearing for the last 10 years, many of those secrets have managed to remain secrets. Famously, companies like Bimbo, who make Thomas's English muffins, and Hellmann's, who have trade secrets filed in the mayonnaise industry, have sued former employees, even going as far as to bar them from working at other companies in order to protect their trade recipes.
Damn.
Coca-Cola keeps their recipe in a literal vault in Atlanta, which, of course, I have visited to pay my respects. So while they're great in the sense that they don't expire, if the secret leaks, suddenly the gig is up. Based on that, you kind of have to wonder how many hitmen are out there working for companies like General Mills to keep their trade secrets intact. We told you, tricks is for kids. Generics companies are also just fantastic at reverse engineering the formulas, which is also totally allowed, and how Refresh gets to sit alongside LaCroix in the Safeway shelf, which is just a waste of time across the board because LaCroix is gross. That is not a theory. I really don't like LaCroix. But all that being said, we are entering into a golden era for grocery stores' homegrown products, and the rapidly growing market share they control proves it. A Nielsen report found that at the end of 2017, private label sales grew 3 times faster than branded products. Generic brands are getting a full-on movie makeover montage sequence right now, improving their quality while also revamping their look. They're expanding their range with options like organics, naturals, premium, mid-tier, and value lines. Instead of buying Safeway brand and bleak packaging, we now have the option to buy O Organics, Open Nature, Lucerne, and many, many more of their own brands. On top of all of that, generationally, we're just moving away from brand names. Millennials and Gen Z both have less affinity for specific brands than previous generations, partially because they're faced with so much choice out there in the market, and partially because big national brands have shown themselves to be less than trustworthy, either because of some issue with ingredients, or some issue with marketing, or just some issue with their values. Why be loyal to a brand that doesn't share the things that are important to you as the consumer? These kinds of meta-brand alliances take us even further away from trusting our taste buds, but do ironically lead to a more generic-friendly buying experience. The last, and honestly most devastating battle that national brands are having to face currently is generics' ability to market based on incredibly detailed user data. The reason that ugly generic packaging's been replaced with stealthy generics disguised as their own brands? Well, the national chains like Target and Costco have data from millions of customers that tell them exactly what they want to buy, the words that they want to see printed on the packaging of ingredients, the colors on the bags, the placement of the products in the aisles, and they have all that data as well as the data of how the national brands perform. Remember, we're now living in a world where your grocery store local buyer card number is linked to your cell phone and your credit card data and your location history and all your spending and browsing habits.
God damn, man. The more you realize, flipping hell.
They know everything about you, meaning that the products that they make and the marketing they use to target you can be anything but generic. The national brands are all playing a pretty rigged game here when it comes to competing with these mega food sellers, but that's probably a theory for a different day. So in a world overwhelmed and oversaturated with brands and products, how do you manage to make the choice? Well, in most cases, it comes down to comparing ingredients and assessing your values in what you want from your product, but you are definitely going to get a better price on a generic. So in most cases, you can have your perfectly fine Betty Croker cake mix and eat it too. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit.
Well, there we go. Food. I'm definitely going to watch some more of this guy's channel because I never have before, but yeah, just interesting, relatable sort of content, isn't it? In Canada, there's a no-name brand called No Name, and they have the funniest packaging ever. Like their version of Coke is just yellow, a yellow can that says cola. Wait, no name brand. Oh God, Canada. Oh, my Wi-Fi is terrible. It's not gonna load, is it? God damn it, man. I'll let it load whilst I'm searching. As a chef, this is 100% true. Buying the cheapest basic quality ingredients to make something good is those highly refined foods that you really need to watch out for. God damn, my internet is so bad, man. Branding is so important. The amount of influence has. Yeah, I mean, yeah. When you mentioned that, like the branding's changed, obviously, I know this because there was when I was younger. I grew up with a lot of no brand foods from a shop, and the branding was always just literally plain white with like orange for like the writing, and then the ingredients and stuff. That was it for crisps, for anything. It was literally that, and it was the most basic branding. It didn't look good, but since then they've changed it, and I didn't really clock it, but they've changed it all. So like you now look at it, and you wouldn't really assume it would be the no brand one or the cheaper version, because it look the packaging looks just as good as the named brand ones, which is fascinating to know that they've changed it. But it does make sense because on the eye it makes it look higher quality. As an Audi employee, I'd love to see a theory done about the company growing, even though the majority of their products are private label and the stores are severely smaller. Yeah, this is not going to load, but yeah, this is an interesting look into this. Let me know your thoughts, and yeah, the more you know, right? But yeah, I'm definitely going to be checking this channel out more. I'm going to subscribe here as well. But yeah, hopefully enjoyed, and until next time, like, subscribe, peace.